We don't ever force it down anybody's throat. We rarely talk about it with people that aren't in the community. And unless you're out at a bar and you can tell that people are really fun and interesting and the conversation goes a little bit crazy. And if we do end up telling people what we do, there so many times the answer will be, oh, I could never do what you do except for this one time. This one time in a hot tub in, Vermont.
This is Meredith for Real, the Curious Introvert, and I'm Meredith. I explore the questions people think but don't ask out loud, either because they're taboo or thanks to cultural hypnosis. My mission, and yours if you choose to accept it, is to inspire curiosity by exploring the nuance and paradox of our world. Each episode is different, so bring your ADD and your earbuds and have a look around. Hey, Curiositors, it's me, Meredith. I'm always so grateful when all of you send in questions for an upcoming guest, and I do my best to fit in every question, but part 1 with the accidental swingers was so good that, we prematurely finished. See what I did there? Anyway, so this episode is answering your questions, and if you're new here, I'm so glad you came. All my episodes are great as standalones, but occasionally I do a part 1, part 2 that are helpful to listen to in order. Otherwise, you can hit play on whatever episode title grabs your attention. So have a look around. If you're a returning listener, I'm so glad you came back. If you haven't left a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts yet, I would be so, so grateful. You should be able to see where to do that within your app towards the bottom. Enjoy the show. In part 1 with Tristan and Marina, we learned how the accidental swingers came to be, and it really was an accident. We had so much fun learning their story that we totally ran out of time to answer your questions. So today they are back, and they're going to answer your questions and no doubt make me blush. My fellow podcasters and your favorite neighborhood swingers, Tristan and Marina. Welcome back to the show.
Hi. So good to be back. Yeah. We were so excited to be able to come back a second time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Me too. I'm so glad to have you back. So I thought we would just dive right in and answer some listener questions if you're ready.
Mm-hmm. We are ready.
Okay. So question 1 from my listeners is, what type of swingers are you?
Wow. So what does that question mean? Well, that's an interesting question.
Yeah, we've never really been asked that before.
Yeah.
Well, they kind of expanded to say that, there's, do both people have dates at the same time? Does one person just watch while the other plays? Do you swing both ways? Is it just hetero? Do you have to find a couple, like both of y'all find a couple that you like, or if, Tristan finds one person, but Marina doesn't, then you still play. I guess there's different flavors. Does that explain it?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
There is. There's, and that's why that question was a little bit, interesting, because there are so many different ways that you can play. Mm-hmm. So I think for us, the answer is that we are just whatever. We kind of go with the flow. And we started off with we thought we would only going to be with couples. We thought that was really what the connection was going to try and be. And then we decided to broaden our horizons, and we kind of just didn't take anything off the table. We haven't had all of those experiences, but we're open to having any of those experiences depending on who it's with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'd echo that and agree with that. We really just kind of take situations as they come, and we're very open to just about anything. And so sometimes we do play with other couples where it's all 4 of us. Sometimes we split off, and Marina will be in one room, and I'll be in another room with the woman. And sometimes we do have separate dates altogether, where I will go off and be with somebody, and Marina will go off and be with somebody. It's just kind of whatever comes along. We, as Marina mentioned, we did start solely with couples and thought that we were only going to be with couples, but then we discovered that we kind of like having single men that, where he and I can lavish lots of attention on Marina, and she can be the center of attention, which is very fun.
Yes, it is.
Queen Marina.
There have been times when I have just watched, but that's relatively rare. I typically like to participate, and Marina likes for me to participate when it's called an MFM, where meaning male, female, male, and that orientation of those letters is important because that is a situation where the men don't have contact with one another. Whereas an MMF would be where there's male-male contact, which we don't do.
Interesting. Okay. So even the letters, the order of the letters kind of is an indicator to other swinging couples, kind of where you stand on all of that.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
What was the biggest mental block that you had to overcome from going from talking about swinging, this is obviously after it was accidental, to going on your first swing date that was not accidental?
That's a good question too. I would think that the thing that we talked a lot about was how we were going to approach emotions. And initially we thought that we were only going to be, the way that we phrased it was that we were going to be sexually non-monogamous, but emotionally monogamous. And meaning that basically we would be comfortable having sex, but then we weren't going to have feelings for anybody. And we realized very quickly that that's not possible for us because we're both very empathetic people and both very sensitive and feeling. And so that was something that we talked a lot about and, arrived at, some conclusions that we simply can't have sex without, completely divorced from emotion because it's just not how we're wired. So that was a heavy lift for us.
Right. And I think that's, it makes it so much more enjoyable, the experience for us so much more enjoyable. Right. So that was a big piece to kind of have a little bit of a shift about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you, A, come to that conclusion? Was it a trial and error? And B, how do you handle that now with wanting to stay monogamous with one another, yet experiencing the soup of emotions that come with sexual experiences?
I think I forget what you said A part was because the B part of the question was so good. So what happened, I think, so we're not monogamous anymore and we're not monogamous, emotionally or sexually. So what changed was we thought we were going to end up being as Tristan was saying, we thought we would end up being, just sexually open, but then being really reserving our feelings and our emotions for each other. But what we realized is that didn't make it as enjoyable. So to be able to connect with somebody and have an emotional connection, an intellectual connection, for me is so much stronger actually than a physical connection that it was really important. And once we realized that pretty early in the process, that we knew we would have to identify that and move forward with it if that's what we chose to do, and we decided that we were okay with that. You have to be very strong in your relationship to be able to allow that. And so we knew that we were going to hit bumps in the road, and we did, and we've had obstacles, but we just continue to kind of work through them. And it's important to us that this is part of who we are. It's part of our relationship now. And so we know that the obstacles will still be there. There'll still be other things might happen, but we're committed to working through them because this is not, we've always even talked about the fact that if we stopped playing, if we stopped having sex with other people, we would still be swingers because it's changed who we are at our core. Like we're just not, it's okay. We've given each other permission to have feelings for other people, to look for other, that if someone feels something for you in a relationship with that person, that's okay. And so we've given a lot of each other a lot of room and space to grow that way, but still maintaining our relationship and getting stronger because we're building a different type of relationship now.
And to be clear, that doesn't mean that everybody that we have sex with, we have this really intense emotional relationship with. Some we do. And it's just, there has to be at least some sort of connection and some sort of chemistry for us to enjoy, sex with others.
Right. Usually.
Yeah. I mean, and there are times when there's no connection, no at all. We just people
a party or something.
Yeah, like at
that.
a party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I love watching y'all giggle and look at each other. It's just so funny, just so entertaining to me. So as you're describing your emotional and intellectual connection with your partners, I'm wondering about repeat dates, repeat partners. At what point does swinging just become polyamory?
That's a really good question. I think, and so if there's nothing that we can share with your listeners, with your viewers, with the people who are watching us and thinking about this for themselves, is that anything with the lifestyle, just like with so many other things, it's all a spectrum, and it changes and it moves, and it depends on the couple that you meet, and it depends on the party that you're at and the things like that. So, and the definitions and the labels that we all use are different for each people. And so that's when you asked about what kind of swingers are you? Well, that there's that's just a soup of different labels and terms that we can use. And it does change depending on the situation. So polyamory, the definition of polyamorous as well can be confusing to people, or they're not sure that they understand. So from our definition of what something polyamorous would mean is that it's so much more of an intense relationship. You are literally spending time together with families, perhaps, or you're creating a life together with another person. If it's a throuple, there's 3 of you, you're creating a life together. Or if it's another couple, then the 4 of you are moving forward and actually creating life and patterns and things together. Whereas, so that really kind of, you're considering each other in your decisions, even would be like, what are we going to do? We're planning vacations, or we don't make decisions without each other. Like that would be a sample or a way of saying something is polyamorous. When you're just dating somebody, dating in the swinging lifestyle, we do. I don't know what other people tend to call it, but so we both have playmates that we've known for years, and so when those folks are repeat playmates, some of them are really just playmates, some of them are good friends, some of them I call my lovers, because they're men that I see on a consistent basis that I have a relationship with, but they're not the person that I turn to if I have a problem. I could if I needed to. It's somebody that if I feel like there was an emergency and I needed somebody, I have a handful of my lovers that I could call or contact or something like that. But so it's kind of like where they fall on my own personal spectrum. And that's probably different for everybody. But those types of relations still aren't polyamorous. I don't consider those people in any kind of decision that I make, or if we're going to be doing something. So that's kind of maybe a little bit of a differentiation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good definition and a good barometer.
Yeah.
I get the feeling
that makes sense.
It does, and I get the feeling that all of this is not really about the label. That the labels are just a courtesy to others within the community to kind of navigate. That it's really about not fitting into a category.
I think that is, for us, it is that way. There are so many people that use so many different labels. And that's why we even sometimes will say, we've been doing this for a while. We talk about it. We have a podcast about it. And yet there's things where people talk about, like, there's a dynamic called a stag vixen dynamic. Well, that can be a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And I remember when we were first in the lifestyle, and we were trying to figure out where do we fit in? What is the spectrum that we're on? Because we're clearly not just going to be with couples, and we're clearly not going to just have these MFMs. And then we kind of want to date people. So we don't really even know for ourselves where we fall on that spectrum, unless we're in a certain, relationship. If I'm going out on a date and I tell Tristan, I'm going on a date, here's what I'm going to do, I'll see you when I get home. Like, he's not even invited. I might choose to tell him or not, because that's part of our fun piece of a dynamic for us. Like, he actually enjoys that. Like me saying to him, oh, I'm not home because I'm out on a date. Like that he didn't know about the surprise. So that's something that's totally different. That's considered more of a hot wife dynamic, because the wife is responsible for her own, but that even changes, because then there's some men that set up all their dates for their wives, and they call it hot wife too. So it's so confusing, and there's just no black or white. It's just not 2 + 2 = 4. There's just so many.
Which is why we say that we just take situations as they come. And there are times when we do certain, have a certain style, and then times when we have a different style, and we're constantly evolving and always trying new things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just kind of, it's like I like to call it a sexual buffet. And sometimes you want something on one end of the buffet, and sometimes you want something on, in the middle of the buffet, and just,
He does. He calls it that all the time.
It's actually a very good explanation. I immediately understand that. And I can see why people who have a more traditional and, black and white set of relationships with, their spouse and their family and friends that are couples or whatever, I could see why they would be endlessly curious in the area of definition, because this is so defined, it makes it so different. So moving on to our next question, this one is another doozy. I tell you, I've got some great curiositors. They are some curious people, and their question was, what can swinging give you what can you gain from swinging that only swinging can give you? Hey everyone, just a quick interruption to show gratitude to our sponsors and give you some special deals. So I don't have kids, but I also want to tell you about It's Your Magazine. They're a national family-centered publishing company with free parent magazines. They have parenting advice, events, and inspiration. I'm actually in a networking group with the publisher, and this guy is all about family. You can view a free magazine in cities in Texas, Oregon, Washington, and Florida by checking them out at itsyourmagazine.com. And INSEC. So I've always felt iffy about pesticides. Then the mosquitoes got so bad, I would get covered in them from walking from my house to the car. I called INSEC, and to say I've been impressed is an understatement. When the treatment wasn't quite doing it, the owner actually came to my house. He found the breeding sites, identified the species of mosquito, and adjusted my treatment to that species. That's when I found out he's also a beekeeper, and pollinator issues are always top of mind. So if you're in the Florida Panhandle or Gulf Coast of Alabama, give him a call, ensec.net. Now back to the show.
It's that last piece that's kind of tricky that only swinging can give you. Because I don't know. My answer is confidence. And I think that we've both experienced a tremendous increase in our confidence. But you can get that in a lot of different ways. For us, swinging has been a way, and probably a more fun way than other ways. But I think me in particular, I've experienced a lot of personal growth. And I talk about very openly that I have always had social anxiety, and which is not a very good character trait for swinging. So I've really grown in that respect, and with that growth has come confidence, and then with confidence comes more growth, and so it's a really interesting and neat circular pattern of growth. But you can certainly increase your confidence in lots of other different ways. You could work out, but it's more fun to have sex. So,
I mean, Toastmasters, but yeah, that's not as fun.
Yeah.
So,
true.
So if those are your two choices, I'm going to go with swinging versus Toastmasters. To me, swinging is a lot less anxiety provoking than Toastmasters, but for me, so it's totally different because for me, the opportunity is, and I think that we didn't know that we were really non-monogamous for all this time. And so for me, I'm a very social person. So we are total opposites. Mm-hmm. Don't ask me how this lasted this long to be total opposites. So I'm the extrovert. I'm the one that feeds off of other people's energy. Going to parties is exciting for me because there's, oh my God, all these new people that I get to talk to and learn about. And I'm always asking people what they do. And I'm truly usually interested in what they do and talking to them and getting to know them. And so that really has opened up that opportunity for me. So it's just the opportunity to meet more people and then be able to have on top of it this kind of a, even if it's just a party where it's just a kind of a sex party, a swinger party, where you may or may not see that person again, I still enjoy that. I still get personal satisfaction out of meeting new people, creating relationships in that sense, even if it's only for the night, and then having some amazing sex on top of that. So there's a whole energy piece on that goes with that as well. So it's this huge swell of all the endorphins of things that I love. And that's why, that for me is what swinging has opened up. I can go to parties and meet people, but then you get the nice sexual high off of it as well. So that's the difference.
Also not available at Toastmasters. So,
Right.
Although
You never know,
we
though.
can come up with a Toastmasters that could incorporate both of these, I think we might be onto
The
something.
Toastmasters after party. I think we may be onto something.
After dark.
Yeah, Toastmasters after dark.
I don't know, guys. I don't know if that's going to sell, but keep me posted. The next question is, how honest do you plan on being with friends and family about all of this?
That's a good question. So, we started off not telling anybody anything. We started off literally, there were 2 people on the planet that knew we were doing a podcast, and that's because they were helping us do the podcast. So we started off we didn't tell friends and family. There's very few people that know about our lifestyle within our inner circle. So that was a challenging decision. But then when the podcast really started to gain some traction and a lot of people enjoyed listening to our stories, we realized that we aren't going to be able to be as anonymous as we thought we were going to be able to be. We also realized when the pandemic hit and we were doing a lot of this work at home that we have 2 older children, our teenage and 20-year-old, 21 now, sons live at home because it's a pandemic. And so we really had to make some decisions about who we told and what capacity we told them. The other piece of the puzzle was really challenging is that my mother has moved to the area and she wondered why we were going out all the time and traveling and doing all these different things. And so it didn't take her long to get suspicious that something was happening. And so, so I ended up having to tell her, and that's been a really tough road. It's been really, really, she was not happy and not accepting, but has come around to say, I want you to live a life that you're comfortable with. And if you're comfortable with, then I have to be happy for you. So, so it's been challenging, and but we don't tell a lot of people because we don't want to put pressure on people to think that they have to behave or act in a certain way because, we have this podcast or even in the lifestyle that it makes people uncomfortable. So we don't ever force it down anybody's throat. We rarely talk about it with people that aren't in the community. And unless you're out at a bar and you can tell that people are really fun and interesting and the conversation goes a little bit crazy. And if we do end up telling people what we do, there so many times the answer will be, oh, I could never do what you do except for this one time. This one time in a hot tub in, Vermont. And I'm like, oh, but it happens all the time. People are like, oh, I could never, ever do that except for, and there's almost always an except for, and I love to wait. I love to hear what the except for their experience was. And then they just want to know more about how, gosh, that really was kind of probably a hot experience for them. Like, how do I do that more often? So that's tends to be where it comes from.
Yeah.
So with your mom and maybe others who have that strong visceral response towards your lifestyle, how do you handle those moral judgments in those situations?
For me, it is just kind of explaining where we're coming from, what we're doing. My mother even said to me, why don't you just divorce Tristan? And I said, but I love him. And why would we do that to the children? We're just getting a physical satisfaction out of being with other people. And then there's an emotional piece to it as well. So, that's a good question because her judgment is definitely there. I think what we both know is that people judge people all the time. You can be judged for the kind of car you drive. So we understand this is not everybody's choice. We understand it's not everybody's lifestyle. We understand so many people don't understand how we could possibly do this, which is why we started the podcast. We wanted to talk about how does your every average, professional, upper middle class couple kind of go through this that can be successful, because it wasn't because our marriage was in trouble. It wasn't we were looking to fill a hole then, but we were really together enough to realize that there's some places and ways that we can both gain some things that will make us better people in the end, better people for each other, better people for ourselves. And so taking their judgment out of it, they can judge about whatever they want. Somebody might judge that I'm wearing the wrong color shirt. I mean, it's okay. We try not to let any of that really bother us. We know we're okay and we know what we're doing is okay. And we talk about it all the time. So there's no hiding. There's no way of even, it's just not negative. Right. So it's just because people just don't understand.
And you said your sons know?
They do.
And what was their reaction?
They don't know. We like to call it the 100,000 foot overview. And so the conversation went more along the lines of, first of all, we started and we said, we're not going anywhere. So we want to tell you a little bit about our relationship. Mom and dad have been together for almost 30 years now. And there's, love is not a pie, and you can love more than one child. You can love more than one best friend. You can love your siblings. And so the world sometimes says that you can only love one spouse, or one person is your love interest, but does that really make sense? And so we talked to them kind of really in that framework. And then we also told them that we've always been so incredibly supportive of them just finding love. It doesn't matter if it's, a man or woman, a transgender person, whatever, any of those things, it just doesn't matter. If you find someone that loves you for who you are, that's a gift. And so don't ever shut that down. And when we realize that's been our message to the kids forever, always. And we hope that our boys have whatever, that they feel comfortable and confident to have whatever experience that they want to have as they figure out their own sexuality. And sexuality changes and it's fluid, and that's okay too. And explaining all of those things. So we kind of said that that's what happened for us, but we told them that we've always encouraged that and have told them to live their authentic lives, and that we realized we were living our authentic life, but we weren't honest about it with them. And so we just wanted to make sure that they understood that our relationship may be fluid as well, and they may see things or hear things, or now they hear us talking because we do the podcast and things, but sex is fun. Sex is okay. Sex is good. Sex can be safe. It can be exciting. And so we're trying to bring all that positive stuff about having multiple partners, having an open sexual relationship is such an amazing gift to give your partner. So we wanted the children to understand that that's where we're coming from. And it's from a place of love and excitement and caring for each other. It's not from a place of we're in trouble at all.
Right. Right. And how can, and we've always encouraged them to be their authentic selves. And how can we tell them that and then not be living our own, or, not being open about our own authentic selves. And so we just, it was a little hypocritical. So we decided that we would basically let them know what we were up to.
Right.
Within reason. I mean,
we did tell them they could ask us any questions. They surprisingly have not.
No, you're kidding me. Well, what was their reaction? Would they just stare blankly at you? I mean, that was a really nice talk that you just gave. I mean, that was really good. Did they just go, okay, and walk away, or did they stare blankly at you? Was there follow-up questions? I'm curious how teenage and nearly teenage boys would react to something like this.
Well, the 21-year-old knew.
Yeah.
Which didn't surprise us that he had figured it out. The younger one.
Well, the 21-year-old told us we knew that he knew, and we knew the gig was up when he came to us about one of his relationship. And he's like, well, you guys don't have a traditional relationship. So, and that's how he started the conversation.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So we were like, oh, what? Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. And then the next, as soon as he left the room, we were like, oh shit, we are so outed. So we better have this conversation now, which that was kind of, the conversation was coming. It always had been like, man, we really got to fess up because, but yeah, so he knew.
Yeah.
But they both, we gave him a little bit more of insight because he's had relationships and he's had love interests and things like that. The younger one, who's 15 now, late bloomer, pandemic, who knows, kids these days, what do you know? And so the goal was to really, again, make sure that they knew that whatever they wanted to talk to us about, that we were totally understanding, and we would never judge them for their choices. We might try and help them make decisions or things like that. But we would never judge them. And so that's why we kind of went with that direction. But the younger one never really didn't say much of anything. He just, he's a 15-year-old boy. Like, it was kind of like, can we get finished talking sooner? Cause I have a video game to go play and, and things like that. And the 1-year-old was a little bit more interactive, but, we told him ask us any questions you want. And I think he's like, nah, I don't need to know what you guys do. That's totally cool. You do you, I'll do me. We'll talk about it if we need to talk.
That's kind of what I wondered about when you said you have a teenager. So, to me, teenage boys communicate in grunts. So I didn't expect there to be a lot of back and forth. So, okay, moving on to our next question. It's 1 word, 3 letters, STDs. How do you handle that stuff?
As with anything, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, we practice safer sex always, and we get tested every 6 months, and we just, we're just careful. There's no way that you can completely mitigate all risk. There's going to always be risk. But we take the steps that we are able to take to,
right.
To mitigate it to the extent that we can.
And there does seem there's like a higher level communication. And as you said in our part 1 of our talk, was that this sort of lifestyle requires a, quote, PhD in communication. So yes. I think the reason perhaps that I kept getting asked, several people asked about STDs, is it makes me wonder if maybe that piece is not being communicated in those particular circumstances in those relationships. And so they're wondering if it's, that's maybe the perspective that they're coming from.
So I would say, I think that when we talked about it, because things will happen, accidents will happen, stuff will happen, a scenario may happen, you don't have condoms with you or something like that. You have to make the choice for you at that point in time of what your risk level is. And I think you have to know that before you go in. So can you do this and be 100% protected from STDs? No, you cannot, because you can't kiss someone without, being exposed to the herpes simplex virus, whatever is 1 or 2, I forget whichever one it is. But most of us already have that anyways, just from, so that's not really considered an ST. Well, they call them STIs now. But you have to kind of make those decisions. And so it is totally up to you. There are people who don't have any care in the world about it, and they just want to have open, free love sex, and that's their choice. And so our choice may be to not play with those people then, if that's, and there have been times where people look down on you to say, we play with condoms. We don't have unprotected sex. And so, for some folks, that's a deal breaker. That is their choice. It is totally fine. It's not our choice. And so then it's not going to be a match either way. It doesn't matter. And so if that's what it is, that's what it is. But the majority of people are understanding. So you just have to decide those things for yourself, but it's doable. It's 100% doable that you only play with condoms. I will tell you, I've never seen anybody with a dental dam. Like if the man is going down on a woman, I've never seen that ever. People talk about it in Reddit and things like that. And we get that question also, like, can we use a dental dam? You can use one. You have to talk to the other, partners about it. But that's so, I've just never even seen it.
Yeah, I've never seen it
come up.
I've also never seen condoms being used for oral.
No, that's true too.
And so, there's a risk there. And so again, it's risk awareness and risk, and finding the level of risk that you're comfortable with.
The other piece really fast too is that, so a sexually transmitted infection, these days is treatable. It's the thing that's not treatable is something like AIDS. And that is really
which is still manageable.
But I mean, and it's just a different time that it was. And I think that maybe some of your folks are thinking about that. Are we going to get AIDS or something like, or be HIV positive? And so, when you're tested, you test for all those things and make sure your test is as good as it is on the day that you walk out with your test, and then you go and play with somebody else. And that test can only tell you what was good the day that they drew the blood work. So if that is a huge concern, then I would definitely not get into the lifestyle. The reality is that getting in your car also can be dangerous. I'm not belittling it. I'm not making it not important. It's very important, but you make those choices. And so, but things these days are treatable and you're aware of them, and you just have to be an advocate for your own health and for the way that you want to play.
Yeah, that's a very, very true statement. And the thing about our particular county that I live in is we do have a high STD rate. I won't say how high because I don't really know, but I had heard that we hold some unfortunate record in the United States in our county. So I think there's a lack of education around that. And so maybe because of the lack of education, there's a heightened awareness of the prevalence of it. And maybe that's also where that question comes from. But I love that you kind of put it in the perspective of risk and education, and that it sort of lives there. I know we're running out of time, but I got a lot of questions also about jealousy, and you've touched around this a little bit and talked about how important communication is, the fact that emotions don't stay in a box, right? It's not compartmentalized. Is there a specific way that the two of you handle jealousy when it comes up? Do you acknowledge it? What does that look like?
Interestingly, I've experienced jealousy more often with my female partners, more so than with Marina, because I know that Marina is not going anywhere. And so for me, jealousy can mean we like to say that jealousy isn't really an emotion per se. It is kind of an umbrella for a lot of other emotions. And jealousy is just the label that we put on it. So for me, it's more of a fear of loss. And like one of my first girlfriends that I became very close with, I had jealousy around her and another lover that she had. And it wasn't because of any particular thing that she was doing with this other guy. It was that I might lose her. And so I know that I'm not going to lose Marina. And so I really rarely experience any jealousy around her.
That is,
but that's
seriously
just, for me,
more
that's the particular.
Than I thought it would ever be. That's beautiful. You're so right. It's an umbrella emotion, like a secondary, like anger is a secondary emotion. Jealousy could be considered a secondary emotion.
Yeah. And for me, the manifestation is, as a result of a fear of loss. It can be different for different people.
Yeah. And that's what I say. It can be very different. And so what we got really good at doing, and I can't remember if we talked about it in the very first, in our part one or not, but the book that really helped us understand is called The Ethical Slut, that talks about you. And we both decided we're both ethical sluts, because a slut is a person who takes control of their own sexuality and their own sensuality and takes responsibility for their own satisfaction in that area. Mm-hmm. And so it was such a liberating book. So if you guys haven't read it, it's great. Make sure you get the third edition because it's the most updated one. But anyways, they talk a lot about jealousy. And that was kind of the light bulb moment for us, because we were working through a lot of things. Like when things happened, that book really helped us realized that you can say you're jealous, but that's not the point. We have to dig deeper. And so we've gotten very good, even for our own selves. I think now, if I feel that jealousy, if I feel a twinge coming, I know that I need to dig deeper and figure out what that is for me. And is that really something I even really need to talk to him about, or is it just my issue? So what do I need to do to make sure that I'm feeling okay or safe or with whatever it is that he was doing? And we've both talked about the fact that just because you're jealous doesn't mean I'm not going to not go on that date. If this is our arrangement and this is the relationship that we have, you may be jealous of that date. Let's talk about what that means for you. So does that mean you're jealous because I'm spending some of whatever free time I have with somebody else? Well, then we can fix that. or are you jealous because of the intimate, close connection that I have with that other person? Well, we can also fix that because we have intimacy and closeness in other areas. And so how do we, or maybe we can't, maybe that person is going to offer something that I don't have, or she's offering to him something, vice versa. And so, but talking about what that is and then being grateful. Like I've really turned myself around to be saying, I'm so happy when Tristan finds somebody that is new and fun and exciting, because we've been together a long time and we've gone through all this stuff together, and nothing's new and fun and exciting about any of his stories. They're all old. I love him. And I love your stories. They're so fun, but sometimes they get old. And, and so when you have a new lady who's just like, oh, tell me everything, and you're just so fabulous and wonderful, it feels good.
It does feel good.
Yeah. So I love the fact that he gets that validation from somebody else. And guess what? He comes home to me and he's like feeling awesome. I'm like, yes.
That is amazing. I honestly did not expect that set of answers at all. And I think that your answers and your insight, the work that you've done personally, adds such value. And that's what I love about, people. And I love about the show is that you can, if you lead with curiosity, you can find knowledge, growth, insight, perspective in everyone and in the most unexpected places. And I think you have really brought that. So where can the listeners stay in touch with you? Where can they listen to your podcast? All the things. Tell us where they can go.
Well, just like any podcast, we are available on any podcast platform. So it's just Accidental Swingers. I think, look at our little sign in case you didn't notice. Look at that. That's us. So you can find us on any platform that plays podcasts. And on the website, we're accidentalswingers.com. And then our socials on Instagram at Accidental Swingers. On Twitter, we are actually at Marina_Tristan because Accidental Swingers didn't fit and it looked dorky. And then a lot of times you'll also find us on Reddit talking in the Swinger Forum and in the Non-Monogamy Forum. So you can even follow us on Reddit. I'm Marina_FL and you are
Tristan_FL.
Yeah, on Reddit. So engaging with us there. But people can reach out to us anytime. I answer every DM I get on Instagram. I answer every email. You can email us, Marina@accidentalswingers.com or Tristan@accidentalswingers.com. We answer every email. And then we also have a community that we're building, mostly of folks that are looking to get into the lifestyle or are new in the lifestyle, as a place to kind of help them in their journey. And then also with some more seasoned lifestyle veterans to also help along with that. So there's lots of ways to interact with us. We're getting ready to do a lot of trips and things finally, because yay. We can. So you can go to our website and sign up for our updates and then find out where we're traveling, what events we're going to be at. And then if we're going to be traveling, we've kind of decided we'll try and do a meet and greet at a bar, at a brewery or something if we happen to be in town. So for instance, when we're going to New Orleans in August, we'll be doing a meet and greet there. We're going to be in Fort Lauderdale in September. So we're going to do a meet and greet down there. And it'll be more of a, hey, we're just going to show up. So sign up for information updates on our website and then come meet us and hang out with us.
That is so awesome. I'll make sure to have all of that information in the episode description, but also in the emails that I send out, along with the takeaways that you all shared, because there were some good nuggets in our conversation today. So I'll be sure to summarize those in nice bulleted, clickable email form. So if you're in the United States, you can opt in to receive those by texting REAL to 66866. And if you're outside the U.S., you can go to my website, meredithforreal.com, to get those. Thank you all so much. This was amazing. That's a wrap. Woo! Thanks for listening. If you liked this episode, you'll also like the one about how to love someone with anxiety. That's episode 62. You can also see other similar episodes on my YouTube channel playlist called Love and Relationships. That's youtube.com/meredithforreal. Come back next week when I talk abundance and budgeting with a woman doing a no-spend year. Talk to you next week.